See, I would not like that if I just paid money for something. I was treatment planned by a specific dentist. They told me what I was going to do, and then the day of, they say, hey, we have someone else like coming in that's doing an interview. And you wouldn't you wouldn't say it, but then you're not really transparent on it either, right?
Well, like, so?
Well, we don't know if we are going to like this person, so we're going to like test them out on you.
Yeah, but you don't say that.
I know, it doesn't matter if you say that or not. It's still the situation. It's a different situation. So I think maybe the patient wouldn't see the difference. I understand that.
That's the point.
No, but it's also from our end too.
I don't think so. Hey, Eric.
Hey, Alex. You decided to come back again?
Do I have a choice? Episode? I live here.
Yeah, I know you don't have a choice. I forced you into this. Anyways, I don't want to preface this with I was bored at work because you're going to say, why weren't you working? But I was on Facebook, right?
Why weren't you working?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And just trolling around all the different Facebook groups and kind of seeing what like hot topics were going on, right? Because that's half the fun, right? Is just going on all the big Facebook groups out there and just seeing what people are posting and then just watching people just get angry at each other, right? That has some entertainment value.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, maybe more for me than you. That doesn't really like tickle your fancy as much.
Not as much these days, no.
Well, I was going through and there's a ton of them, right? But there were a few I figured you and I could maybe deep dive in a little bit.
Few of what?
Hot topics.
Oh, okay.
I probably didn't preface that. A few topics that I thought were kind of relevant or that people seem to be pretty polarized on, right? Like I said, you either get people who are like, yeah, or no, you're stupid, you're an idiot, right? So I figured we could go through these.
Okay.
You can call me an idiot on all these things. Wow. And then we can kind of give our opinions on what we think and just maybe any experiences we've had with some of these topics and like what we've done.
Okay.
Okay.
What do you got?
So first one I have is, and this one was pretty relevant. I saw this one like a week ago. Do you pay for professional licenses for dentists? And then this one on one of the Facebook groups was for a hygienist. So a hygienist had asked their dentist, hey, are you going to pay for my license renewal?
Ooh.
And yeah, your thoughts on that one. Let's start with that one. How would you comment on that post?
Well, I use very little words. It would be definitely no.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much my take on it. No way. Do I own your license then if I paid for it? Like that belongs to me in the office then. So it gets really tricky because what if you work, you moonlight somewhere else or you work part-time? Well, you can't use that license. I bought it for you, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, to me, that's like a big no. Like, no, that's your license. You're coming as a qualified applicant to work. You need that license. Like,
it's like a prerequisite,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So I think some people use it as a...
And this one was controversial. Like people did have.
No, both. I mean people were. There was maybe like one person that had said yes, but it was
one person who was scared to lose their hygienist and was like, yeah, I'll pay for your license.
I mean it was a strong 95% no, right? But they were pretty like strong opinions, right?
Yeah. Makes sense.
So the group or DSO that we're partnered with, so they actually pay for the dentist's licenses, like DEA.
Okay.
And professional license. We did not do this when we had our own practices, when we had associates on. It was something they had to maintain.
Yeah.
Which I agree with you. I think that is something that follows the individual because, well, a couple reasons. One other one you didn't mention really was it's most states like 2 to 3 years, right? Maybe?
Of what?
Like how long the license is good for, like a dental license, right?
So the expiration. 3 years. Yep.
I know I'm jumping on a dentist now, but what if they leave after 1 year, right? So now they just got a free year.
Dentist?
Yeah, the dentist.
Yeah.
So they leave after 1 year. And then now they got a free year of
Well, I know it doesn't
paying
make
for
sense.
a license.
I don't get it.
I don't really agree with that one. I especially don't agree with the hygiene one. I think that is born out of it is so hard to find hygienists. It's been like that since, honestly, like a little bit before COVID. I think that is a way bigger issue. I don't think that was just a COVID issue. I think that maybe made it worse, but I think it was trending that way before.
Maybe.
So our DSO uses it as a recruiting tool, right? As like an extra perk.
Yeah.
So they're doing it that way. So, I mean, if you look at it, most states, I think, are $200 to $300 for a license renewal. The one that's expensive is the DEA. So that's $888. So that's not like just a little amount, right?
It lasts 5 years. I mean, it is a little bit longer, doesn't it?
I think it's either 3 or 5. I can't remember how long it is, but long enough. But yeah, that was the first one that I saw people kind of aggressively respond.
Not for licenses. I could see for like certifications, like CE. Like if a hygienist comes and interviews and they're like, hey, I'm not laser qualified or certified.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I will pay for your CE with a big disclaimer written.
Yeah, what's this disclaimer?
Yeah, that says if you leave between a certain time, you owe like whatever portion back to me.
Okay, so yeah, it's kind of...
It's contingent on you staying.
Yeah.
Like I will pay for your laser license or whatever other certification is like.
Well, it was
necessary.
It kind of worked for us because remember we had one associate we had hired and paid for them to do sedation, right? Through docs, I think it was. So like legit. And they never did it. They kind of found excuses not to ever do it. And so we paid for the course and everything for them.
Oh, no. They took the course.
They took the course.
Yeah.
Yes.
They never did sedation in our office.
Yeah, so that was
very confusing.
So it was, sorry. So they took the course. We paid for the course for the license.
Yeah.
And they never did a case with it.
They wanted it. That was one of the, we left it up to the associate. Like, you pick what you're interested in and what you'd like to learn. And they're like, sedation. And then they like never did sedation after that.
So course. I think what was good in that situation is we, I think, had like a 12-month thing where it was, if you stay for, the next 12 months, then you don't owe anything back. But if you leave in under a year or 12 months, then you owe us the money back. Right?
Yeah, I think we like prorated it.
Maybe we prorated a certain amount.
I think we did. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was good there. I could see doing something similar where you prorate things, so then people owe a percentage back. But then the other piece on that too is, if it's something like sedation, do you like put a number of cases they have to do on it as well? Because in our situation, there wasn't any added right solely from a business standpoint. Someone got their license paid for, and they never gave back in the sense of producing more or doing procedures that add value to the practice, right? So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know. I think that probably goes back to like still not having adequate training, and obviously she didn't feel comfortable, talking about it or treatment planning it or doing. There was still some.
Yeah, we probably could have done a better job of getting her. Yeah, that's true.
So I think
maybe not that. That's too far.
Probably.
Yeah. But yeah, that we've done that with laser as well, right? Like you said, with hygienists, because that is a good value add for the practice. And I have no problem paying for that if they're going to utilize it, right? I think that's the big if. Topic number 2. This one, I think, gets posted weekly on one specific Facebook group. And there's very strong opinions on the person who posts it. It's working interviews for dentists.
Okay, so for dentists.
Working interviews for dentists. So there is an you are trying to get a job as a dentist, and the owner says, before I hire you, I need you to come in and do a working interview. Okay. What are you for or against it?
So I've done working interviews in the office. Like have we done maybe with dentists specifically, maybe not. No. I don't know if I've ever done a working interview for an associate coming in.
No.
For hygienists, yes. Assistants, yes. I've done a working interview at a
when?
previous position.
You did?
Actually, yeah, 2. Like, yeah.
Oh. Like right out of school, or when
Yeah,
was this?
one was out of school and one was the one that I stayed for about a year. It was a working interview, like, ish.
So how did that work? Did you get like paid a per diem? How did that whole thing work, or did you just work for free?
No, it's cash.
And you got paid at the end of the day?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so similar to like a temp hygiene, right?
Yes,
okay.
exactly. So I can come at it from both sides. I mean, do I agree with them? Fine. Like, I don't have any problem with them. Would I do it now, knowing kind of like what I know, not about like the sticky issue when it comes to, I think paying and like, is it an employee? Is it not an employee? Like, is that where a lot of this controversy is coming from?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So a lot of it and I think it's a bigger thing too, because I'm pretty against it. I don't think it's good. I think it sets a bad tone to start.
For who?
For the person who's coming on, right? Like, I think it kind of leaves a bad taste in people's mouths, because I don't think I think there's a certain level of, I don't know if respect is the right word, or just trust, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Someone has graduated from a 4-year school that's accredited. They've passed boards. They've done it. You don't see this in law. You don't see it in medicine. You see it in dentistry sometimes, right? So I think that by you having that credential, you deserve a little bit more respect.
So let's just take a step back for a second.
Okay.
What is really the goal of the working interview? Is it to assess clinical skills? If you're coming right out of school, like you don't have any.
You're not going to be good at it.
You're not going to be good.
That,
you already know exactly. So what point?
So then, what does the owner gain?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. What is the goal of it? Is it to assess clinical skills? Probably not, because that's not great. Is it to assess, like, is this person, like, can they talk to patients? Are they well-rounded? Like, is that the goal, to see how they work, how they talk to patients and stuff?
Yeah, I think that just depends on, I think that's what the owner wants, right? Like, I think if the owner is like, I want to see if this person can do a filling well, it's like...
No, that's skills.
Yeah, that's skills. And even if they were, though, not a new grad, and you were hiring someone that was 5 years out or something, and they said, hey, I do implants, I do endo, I do all that, have them just show you their cases they've done. Like, you don't have to...
again, that's skills.
So I don't think the skills part...
I don't think that's what the goal is.
I don't think there's any value in that. I think you might be wrong, though. I think there's a lot of, like, cheap-ass owners, or just not trusting owners, that are like, you need to do a working interview, because before I hire you, these are my patients, and I need to make sure you're doing things at the standard that I do them. I think a lot of owners...
Well, what are you going to do? Like, have...
Exactly.
Like a stacked schedule
it's
of like of stuff, and they're going to double check everything to make sure it's like looks good and stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know. That's why
I don't know.
That's why I'm against it.
Well, it depends, but it depends on what.
And then if you were trying to look at it from the other standpoint, have them talk to the team.
Oh yeah, if you're trying to assess if they are, normal people, and they have good people skills and communication skills and stuff like that, isn't that what the interview is for? Like, can't you just be a little bit better with your interviewing skills?
Agreed.
So, like, I don't understand. So from that point, it's like, well, what's to gain? And working interviews are super awkward. Like, it's hard for like me going in and being like tiptoeing around, going like, okay, I got to be like my best self, but at the same time, I don't know what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
So it's super awkward. So
you're not in like a good state anyways to do a good job.
True.
Like you said, it's gonna be awkward. So
then is the goal then? Okay, here's my third thing. Like, I'm trying to figure out what's the point of this working interview?
Yeah.
Is it to assess like if you work well with the team, like if you're not like a dick with stuff and like throw your instruments, or just like say
but no one's gonna do that on an interview anyways. Everyone always presents their best self. So, like, you're not going to find that stuff out.
I mean, maybe, I don't know.
So, I don't think that helps either. Then you just shadow, right, for a day.
So then do you get paid for shadowing?
No, because you're not producing anything. I don't think you should. I would not expect to be paid to get to shadow. I mean, like, if you bought, like,
so
lunch
is that
for
not
people,
kind of disrespectful, though? Be like, I need you just to, like, watch me do my thing, or, like, watch The Office. Like, waste a day of yours.
Well, it's not necessarily a waste. I don't know. Then what do you pay? Just like a per diem?
No, I don't know. I'm
Just
not
like
saying
I mean,
pro
maybe,
or against it. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Maybe you should get paid something small. I don't know. Maybe that was just me being cheap too. But anyways, regardless of
I
all
don't
that
know.
stuff, so it seems like we've said there's really not necessarily a ton to gain. But let's look at all the issues, right? How do you bill?
Okay. Well,
You can't like insurance. When I say bill, I mean billing insurance, right? So they can either only see cash patients or cash patients, right?
or it's
Like,
all free. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not Medicaid. Any PPOs do not a lot like.
I don't know. I don't know what like the fine print
Okay,
says.
so you know what the fine print says? Call your specific carrier. Do you want to go through that problem? Do you want to call Cigna? Do you want to call Delta? Do you want to call Aetna?
I know.
Do you,
You
want to call all them?
No.
No. Seems like a big waste of time to find out. And then each person has individual plans. Like, does this plan allow it? Does this not? Seems like a huge headache. So not really worth it.
Okay, but to take a step back, like, do you do that if you have a temp come in? Like, what's the rule for like if you have a temp dentist for like
Yeah,
a
so like
couple
locum
days?
tenens stuff. So I don't know all. I'm not.
Yeah, we're not lawyers. We don't know the.
I don't know
what
that.
the
I'm
rules
not
are.
an insurance expert by any means, but my very enough information to be dangerous says that it depends on the insurance, like, because that's more like locum tenens, right? Like if you're just coming in to help.
Yeah.
So my understanding is I think you might be able to with Medicaid and like some plans. I think there's other plans that they don't even allow that. So you either then have to find patients with out of network benefits or they have to be cash. I mean that is the other that going
But
back
that's not what happens.
Yeah,
Though.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's one issue. The other issue is like malpractice. So with malpractice, what do? What if they pull the wrong tooth? What if something crazy happens?
That's true. You have to obviously make sure that they have an active malpractice policy.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, workers' comp. What do you do with that? Like if they're coming in, I mean, because are you paying them kind of as just a temp? Because then I guess you don't really have to worry about that either. We'll get into that on another topic.
Okay.
And then with patients too, like to me, I put myself in the patient's shoe. If I've been at the dentist for a long time, and they came in and said, "Hey, so and so, you're going to be seen by so and so instead of me." I don't know if I would like that if it wasn't prepped. I mean, I guess in medicine they do that because they have like fellows, and they'll say like, "Hey, so and so has a fellow shadowing them and watching them," and the dentist still is supervising though. That's the doctor is still supervising in those situations. So they may have the fellow come in and assess, but they're still going back to the dentist, and the dentist is shadowing them. In a lot of working interviews, it seems like it's go into the room, introduce yourself, and do the work. The dentist isn't over your shoulder because
I
you're
think it
already
depends.
graduated, right? You're not a fellow.
Yeah, I know. So then, aren't you? You're still qualified to do the work. Like you're not.
You're qualified to do the work. It's just I don't know. If I'm a patient, I don't know if I would like that a lot. Like,
Well, yeah, well.
would you like it? If you
No,
went-
I'd understand. Like I've gone into places before where it's like, hey, the doctor's not available. Do you want to see this person instead?
Okay, what if you were?
All
What
right.
if it was like a bigger procedure, like a crown or something you were nervous about?
Yeah, I walked into my working interview and did a crown prep on number 20.
Yeah. See, I would not like that if I just paid money for something. I was treatment planned by a specific dentist. They told me what it was going to do, and then the day of, they say, "Hey, we have someone else like coming in that's doing an interview," and you wouldn't
you wouldn't say
say it, but then you're not really transparent on it either, right?
Well,
Like,
who cares? So? No, I don't think that. You'd be like, here's so-and-so, Dr. So-and-so. They're going to be like working on your tooth today.
okay, did you do the crown seat on that working interview? Did you come back 2 weeks later?
Well, yeah, I was hired. So.
Okay, if you weren't hired.
Well, they also
right?
had like Eddas, so like I probably never did a crown seat back then.
Yeah, I know, but just conceptually, right? If they didn't have that, then there's like no continuity of care. It's just I don't know. It's just a lot of stickiness and a lot of potential issues for something that we both agree to doesn't have that much of a reward. So it's like, then why do it? Just have them shadow and get better with interviewing.
No, I agree with like the better interviewing. I think you can really cut through a lot of the BS in the interview itself. So, yeah, knowing like now, I don't need to do a working interview with anyone to know really if they're like qualified or not.
I mean, honestly, I think too it shows the owner, it makes you seem not confident, right?
Yeah, possibly. So like, and I get that with like the dentist thing. So when I was hiring kind of post-COVID for hygienists, they would request a working interview almost every single time. So like, I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, but that's almost, to me, I don't know what that's about. It's so commonplace to just have temps anyways. So I can see that more of as just someone's temping for a day, right? They're just like, you're thinking of hiring them, they're going to temp for a day, and they call that a working interview. I don't see as much of an issue with that because it's way more commonplace, and they're just doing cleanings. Like, sorry, I mean, I'm not trying to like sugarcoat it. Like, you probably don't have them do some crazy SRP, right? I mean, you could, I guess, but they may not have a crazy schedule. And on that, I don't have an issue with that because we use temps anyways because we can't find hygienists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just don't see what the difference really is then.
I think it's on.
Isn't it like, I know, so luckily at our offices, there's always someone there really to like dentist to like do the work. But what if there wasn't? What if you were out or you were the only doctor there? Would you ever, hire a temp dentist? Like, what if we didn't have our associate at your office and you were taking like your paternity leave, kind of thing. That's like, hey, I'm in labor. You got to take a week and a half or 2 weeks off.
You just have like you have the whole locum tenens thing,
so
right?
How is that not the same thing with like your continuity of care? And it's like, hey, yeah, the dentist that I saw treatment planned this, but I'm doing the work. Like,
because
how is that? I don't understand how that's
different because it's a different situation.
But not to the patient.
Yeah, it is, because you can say, hey, Dr. So-and-so is out for the next 2 months or 3, whatever it is. Colorado gives you so much time anyways.
Which you're not taking off.
I know. And that is more of a legit reason, right? Other than, well, we don't know if we are going to like this person, so we're going to like test them out on you.
Yeah, but you don't say that.
I know,
it
doesn't matter if you say that or not. It's still the situation. It's a different situation. So I think maybe the patient wouldn't see the difference. I understand that.
That's the point.
No, but it's also from our end too.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, agree to disagree. Hey, quick break here. If you're enjoying Just a Couple Dentists, don't forget to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. It's the best way to keep up with new episodes and hear us argue about dumb stuff and complain about dentistry. And trust me, you don't want to miss that. Now back to the show. Topic number 3, right on Hot Topics. So I feel like this one comes up pretty regularly, and it's been like a topic for a long time, and I feel like there's never been a consensus.
What?
I'm trying to prep it a little bit. 1099 versus W2 on paying the dentist, right? So let's first say why people want to pay.
Yeah, what's the difference? Sure.
As a 1099. Well, why do you want to pay the dentist as a 1099? Because you don't have to pay payroll taxes, and it ends up, that includes Social Security, Medicare, unemployment, which, on average is like a little over 7%. So it's to save money, right?
Totally.
Like that is.
And benefits.
You don't have to give them things like that. So it's just finding a way to cut costs, right? So it is 100%, my opinion, just a workaround, right?
Well, there's a need for it when it classifies under a contractual work.
Yeah, so let's go through because I looked it up. What does the IRS say? Because I feel like I never saw that on any of these posts, like how they define it. So there's a 3-factor test they do.
Okay.
Factor number 1, behavior control. So this means that if you are a W-2, you have a set schedule, you follow systems, and you use certain equipment, right, or supplies provided by the office.
Okay.
Independent contractors tend to work their own schedule and usually have their own stuff. In dentistry, it's not as strict because it's not, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not like practical for someone to like always bring all their own supplies and equipment all the time.
Okay.
So that's the first one. Based on that, I would say most employees who are working are probably considered W-2s.
Well, you just said employees are employees. Employees are W-2.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. That would be because of a set schedule. You're supposed to follow systems of the office.
And we're still
right?
talking about dentists, right?
Dentists.
Yes.
Yes. So we had hired an independent contractor, right?
Yeah.
In the past. But do you want to go over how that was set up and why we feel like that was a legit way?
This was back in after my acquisition. And so I was like a year out of school, didn't know how to place implants yet. And we had a demographic that needed implants.
Yep.
And so we had hired a prosthodontist to come in to place the implants for us. And I would restore them. But he was not an employee. He was a 1099. He brought all of his own equipment. Mm-hmm. Minus maybe like patient bibs or like the small like disposable stuff. He paid our assistant,
correct,
himself, because these were usually like Saturday mornings or something like that. Like we kind of worked around like his schedule too. So he paid his own assistant, and then
did you say equipment too? Like he brought in his own implant kit. Yeah,
that's what I said.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said that first. And then, yeah, that was pretty much it. Like, we paid him. He pretty much, like, invoiced us.
Yep.
And we paid him. And the patient obviously dealt with us in our practice.
Yep. And he set fees.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is, I think, a typical 1099. Like, I was not hiring him. He was not on a schedule. He'd come in, like, every other Friday or anything like that. It was as needed. We could do a couple implants back to back kind of thing. But to me, that's a 1099.
Oh, I agree. I don't think there's any like gray area in that. I think you're doing it how it's intended to be done.
Yeah.
Right? It's more project based. It's not set, like you said. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 2 is financial control. So it's saying W-2, with a W-2, the employer sets wages and how they're paid. 1099s tend to get paid per project, and they cover their business expenses. So this one can be kind of iffy. I think you can go either way because 1099s a lot of time are paid like a percentage of production or what their project is. And in dental, a lot of us don't pay, or associates aren't paid an hourly or salary, right? There might be a guarantee in there, but it's usually it's that plus a percentage of production or collections. So that one kind of like falls in between. I still think though that most people that are associates that are working are still fall in that W-2 category.
Yeah. I think everyone knows the answer.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's accountant tells them what the answer is, that associates need to be W-2 employees. And I think people are just kind of, like you said, skirting around the issue and like trying to cut costs and stuff like that.
And just hope you don't get audited.
Yeah. And to me, that's like, it's not worth it to me.
Yeah, that's
like,
there's bigger.
So I don't know why that question keeps coming up.
I know.
It's kind of like, does everyone know? Like,
so the third one was the type of relationship. So like W-2s have a long-term contract, they receive benefits. 1099s are temporary or project-based and no benefits. So kind of goes back to what we described with the person that we had hired back in California, and not how we deal with our W-2 associates.
Yeah, it's not on payroll.
Yeah. So I think on this one, I feel like it's controversial or a hot topic because people don't want to do it the way it's supposed to be done and are trying to just like really push that gray area. I mean, I guess you can, and then if you get audited, then there's a penalty, right? Or you end like, I would assume there's just that kind of an issue.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the government's going to want more money back.
Yeah.
Okay. The fourth one. So this one's in the news right now. So recently there was an ADA resolution, and basically there are two parts to it. Part one, foreign trained dentists and dental students can do hygiene without a license.
Okay.
And the teacher to student ratio in hygiene programs was removed, meaning that I'm assuming what that means is that you can now have a way larger class size, right? Kind of
Makes sense.
what we have in dental.
Okay.
Okay, let's start
So
with...
that's right now that's passed. Or that's how it's always been?
No. That's a new resolution that the ADA just went through, like their House of Delegates. I don't know how their whole system works. I know that...
Okay, so this is a new thing that now, as of like
I think
recent.
it was recent that it passed through like the House of Delegates at ADA.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's like another step to sign it in law. I don't know if the president of the ADA has to do that. I don't really give a shit about that stuff. So like I don't know. I just know that it's in the process of being a thing.
Okay.
Okay.
So
the first
why
one.
is this? So why is this controversial? Because I don't know about this stuff. If I see this on my Facebook, I just pass over it. I don't
So
really
why
care.
is it because hygienists are saying it's going to take away
so
our
this
jobs?
so this is a hygienist problem.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I feel like you knew that, but you were just waiting for me to tee that one up for you.
So the people that are complaining are the hygienists. Got it.
Yeah, I think it was like the ADHA or whatever that organization is saying we don't agree with this, right?
Okay.
So on the first one, do you have an issue just first with foreign trained dentists and dental students doing hygiene in private practice without a license?
No.
Yeah, I don't really have an issue either. It doesn't really bother me.
Yeah.
I don't know if it solves the issue.
Do people want to? Like, is that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is that going to help?
I mean, I'm assuming the thought process behind this was just being able to get more of a potential workforce into private practice for hygiene, right? Because I think they're acknowledging there is a shortage, and this is one solution to that. I mean, I guess I'd have to see it. This is just an opinion. I don't know if it's really going to solve that issue.
I don't think, from the dental student perspective, probably not. Because, like, when are you going to, you're in school. Unless, like, has school changed from when we graduated?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, unless you're, like, moonlighting or you're doing it for, like, 3 weeks when you're off in summer. And,
like, who wants to hire that, though? Like, you can, I guess, temp, but, like, I don't know if that solves an issue. I don't know if that does. I don't know if, like, if I was in dental school, if I'd really do that. I had other things I needed to do. So, but the foreign trained dentist, that's something, because we've hired foreign trained dentists as assistants.
Yeah, I'd have to look into that more. And if that means they just have a license, I guess I need to dig a little bit more into this. I don't know if it means foreign trained dentists
that are in dental school still.
Yeah, that are in dental school.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But then you'd think that would include just dental. They'd be part of dental students. So I mean, if it's just foreign trained dentists that have a license in a different country and they're here and they can do hygiene, to me that is probably the bigger potential solution or help, right? If that can happen.
It probably excludes that, just knowing like how this stuff kind of works. It's like, no, that'll actually benefit. So like, let's make sure that doesn't help anyone.
So,
because I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah. And then when you see though, people saying like, oh, hygiene saying we hate this, resolution or whatever, and this is going to hurt our profession, and it, degrades the profession and, brings us down and all that kind of stuff. I just don't, being a practice owner, have tons of sympathy for that, because I think all of us as business owners know what happened across the country. There was a shortage of hygiene, which people could retire and all that, and wages went up like at a higher rate than like freaking groceries did, right? I mean, it's nuts how much it went up. I mean, I literally think we went from paying hygienists
Between 35 to 40.
yeah, or like low 40s, maybe, yeah, somewhere around there to like 60, 80
Yeah.
on temps.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's crazy, especially when a lot of practices are insurance driven, and it doesn't just become like a break even. Now you're losing money, right? I mean, I remember like a year and a half ago, yeah, we were looking for a hygienist, and someone from Florida, they had called and said, I'm looking for a position. So talked to him. The guy was doing, working at a perio office, says super productive, all that kind of stuff. And then should have gotten to this question earlier. It did say it in the advertisement how much the pay was going to be, but I said, okay, what do you want to get paid? Just take a guess on what he said his hourly should be.
I don't know, 75.
140. Because he should get paid like a dentist. And he said, well, when I'm at my perio office, I do $5,000 a day. And, I should get 30% of that. So that's $1,500. And if I work 10 hours days, that's $150. So maybe it was 150 actually, not 140. Okay. So he went through, did the math and said, and so it's like, so the problem, buddy, is that you're assuming every single patient shows up and you're actually doing
that's the
all
thing.
that.
This is like how, when it used to be good, where you could like pay, when you could have that tiered model with the hygienist, right? You could give them their hourly.
Yep.
Of like 35, 38, 40, whatever it was. And then on top of that, your commission.
Like bonus, yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
That was like awesome because it was always a win-win.
Yep.
And then...
I think they just wanted the bonus guaranteed, right?
Oh, yeah. It turned into, well,
Yeah.
I don't want to actually work that much to get,
Yeah.
I don't want to say too much because
Yeah.
I think you know my stance on hygienists
Yeah.
and the future of hygiene. And
Yeah.
And that is...
Just a couple dentists will only be listened to by dentists.
Oh, yeah. I'll be blacklisted by all hygienists because
So that's another topic for another day. We could probably do an entire episode on all that. That would be very interesting. Okay, so the last part was the removal of the teacher to student ratio so you can have bigger class sizes.
Okay.
I don't see an issue with that. I don't think we did that in dental. I mean, you go to NYU is like 200 kids a class plus, and it's not like
more. I think it's more.
Yeah. So I don't know what the ratios were set at.
I don't know.
I mean, you don't want it to be something crazy. I don't think there's, ever going to be class sizes of 500 hygienists because I don't think it's that in demand of a job. I mean, they get paid well, but that shows you if they're getting paid that much better and there is still a shortage of hygienists, maybe it tells you there's a bigger issue of people not wanting to be hygienists anymore, right? That's probably the issue. I mean, I think it's an issue with anything in healthcare or dental, with people being able to work remote more and still get paid well. It's just a struggle, right? When you always have to come into work. And I don't know when people have more options if it's something they want to do like they did in the past. So my thought is it's a bigger issue that people just don't want to do hygiene. Because
and these, I don't know, these are like diehard like council people. They're like, no, the profession, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, seriously, I don't know. I think we need to look bigger scope. Yeah. And say, like, how are we going to solve this issue 20 years down the road?
Yep.
When hygiene and, well, not hygiene, but like hygienists don't exist.
Yeah.
Because I think it's going to go away.
Yeah.
So.
That could be another one when we talk about later.
I know.
Okay, so last one. This one has a bunch of different subsets in it, okay? So the main thing on it is, do you let your team, or as you refer to as staff, stay clocked in for these scenarios?
Okay. All right, go.
Scenario number 1, birthdays and office lunches.
Are they stayed clocked in?
Yes.
No.
Okay, I agree. I also say no. I think there's going to be
going
to be a very common theme in our answers on this one.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough because we all want to be nice people and be like, oh no, you can stay clocked in, and like I don't want to tell someone, did everyone clock out, and be that like mean
it's awkward.
Boss.
It's totally
and stuff.
awkward.
But yeah, you were clocked out for that.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm bad at this, right? Because I'm way more of the one who doesn't like conflict between the two of us. And so like if they come to me, I think they know that, and they're more likely to be like, hey, if we just ask him, he'll just cower down and be like, hey, yeah,
totally.
Stay clocked in.
That is how you work. Yeah. And we'll get back to how clear expectations on the front end are super important.
Yeah.
But okay, so birthdays, office lunches.
No, and I think no, because like you said, they're not, unless you're making that mandatory, which you're not, right? Like you're providing a free lunch for someone. I'd rather them just clock out and take their lunch somewhere else, like, because then I don't have to pay them, right? Like, yeah. I'd say clock out and go eat your lunch in your car. Then here's your free lunch. I'd prefer that than them stay, hang out, and I have to pay them.
Real quick, if you're into what we're talking about and want more, check out my newsletter, Just 2 Minutes. It's the dental blog you can actually read between patients. No fluff, no BS, just straight up tips, stories, and insights to help you level up. You can subscribe over at coupleofdentists.com or just hit the link in our show notes. Now back to the pod.
So the next one.
Okay.
Do they clock out when they're getting work done?
On themselves?
And I should probably be a little more clear on what getting work done means. What I mean is they're getting a cleaning or a filling or any type of dental treatment done at your office. Do they clock out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with that one. Totally.
Yeah. And it also depends on like what your benefit packages and perks and stuff listed in your
you're probably already giving
handbook.
Someone a crazy discount or doing it for free or hooking them up with something. So
you don't get paid to assist yourself or what, like that doesn't happen. So easy. They're clocked out. Mm-hmm.
Okay. The next one. Does the hygienist clock out when cleaning other team members?
Do they clock out? No, they're
still
clocked in. Yeah, they're still
Yeah.
providing work, and the benefit is from you, the owner, to the recipient. Not like, you can't do this, hygienist. Like you are clocked out. No.
Oh yeah, I effed that up once. I totally did not mean, it was just an oversight, and I think mentioned like, oh yeah, just clock out when you're doing her thing. And that did not go over well. And then I thought about it. I was like, oh shit. Like I shouldn't have said that, and that actually wasn't right. So I remember like apologizing for that one and like just, and then making right by it and paying them.
Yeah. If a hygienist is on the clock and it's, still even like you don't obviously want to take away from like patient hours or anything like that. This is always like after.
Yeah, or if there's a random
cancellation.
Cancellation,
absolutely. Like that. Yeah, I think they still stay clocked in. Yeah.
I agree. Okay. Does the hygienist stay clocked in when cleaning family members?
Whose family?
Their family. So their little kid, little Johnny comes in, right? And your hygienist says, I want to clean my son, get his teeth cleaned. Okay. Do they stay clocked in? And are there caveats or contingencies to this?
Okay, they're clocked out.
Okay.
I think, because this is not your patient, kind of technically,
or your staff or team. Right.
This is them. We're doing a favor to the hygienist
by allowing them to use the facility.
The facility, the instruments, the prophy paste, like all the materials and stuff like that. Yeah, you're clocked out.
I agree with that too.
Yeah, unless it is a patient of record and you're gonna like bill it to insurance or they're gonna whatever it is. No, if that's like a freebie cleaning from the hygienist that is like, no, I'm going to give this free to this person. They're making that call.
Yeah.
Then yeah, they're not on the clock. No way.
Yeah, I completely agree. And do you let them do that if it's at like non-patient time, meaning like it's at the end of the day or something? Sure. Would you give that as a perk and say, hey, you're a hygienist. If you want to clean your kid's teeth, on off hours or whatever, go ahead and do that on your own time. You can use our instruments. You can use our supplies.
Yeah.
You're letting them put, even a fluoride and stuff like that, right? You're not charging them for that.
No.
So yes, I agree. If you're doing all that as a benefit and you're not receiving anything from that, then they should be clocked out for that.
Yeah.
I just think in some of these posts, there's ones, especially with that last one, where that one, you kind of got both sides where they were like, oh, well,
From the hygienist point of view?
No. From dentists saying like, well, you should just keep them on the clock because, it's just a good thing to do for them. And it's like, I think sometimes we run into this trap.
We're still beyond that.
And I, I'm way more guilty of it than you are, that I assume that if I like overgive on things that you shouldn't even be giving on, that somehow I think that's going to like increase the chance that they stay or that they're going to like me more or do any of that. And it doesn't really matter. Usually if someone's asking for something like that, they're trying to just take advantage, right?
If they're asking to get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's a whole nother topic on like just standing firm, right? And just having your policies and just.
Well, yeah. And I think that's clear. Written in the handbook. This is what is considered mandatory. This is what is considered, out of scope or whatever it is. And I think, like, if for you, in your case, if, it is, I'm pretty sure, written in the handbook, but if it's not, you need something up in, like, the lunchroom that pretty much says, these are the rules for clocking in and clocking out. And then everyone signs it, right? And it's like, that way it's not put on you and you're not like, oh, okay, fine, just stay clocked in. Yep. It's like, you can just say, look at the board. Yep. What does it say? You know, and just like defer. I
think my problem is if they do that, I'm going to say, oh, well, they're not going to like the answer. Okay, I'll make an exception, right?
But it's
terrible,
clear.
Though.
It's from the beginning. That's why it is so important with like training and onboarding and all of that stuff to go over that from the beginning.
Yeah.
This is what the expectation is. You like it or not. If you don't like it, then you don't have to accept the job or stay.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's kind of clear cut.
That is the last one that I have. So we got through a decent amount of them. I feel like for the most part, we agreed on most. The main one I think we disagreed on was the working interviews in that part.
Yeah, I guess.
And so but other than that,
you're still on a working interview here, Eric.
I know, that is true. I feel like I'm on
I don't know if I'm going to keep you here.
Lifelong working interview. Oh yeah, speaking on that too. I don't think up until now, this very point, I have a feeling all of the one listener probably doesn't know yet
our friend,
that just a couple of dentists, the couple part is that we are actually married. I don't think I ever explicitly said that was the case. And so for all we know, for the last few episodes, everyone's just like, here's some random people that probably own dental businesses together. And
we went to school together. Yeah, we've known each other for a while, but like my husband's in the back and like, no, it's you.
Yeah. Yes. So I'm glad we now have clarity on that.
Do we?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe not.